What's going on, guys? This is me, your host, Bell Outright, and welcome back to the Occult Gaming channel. Today, we're going to be doing another Dragon Ball Super breakdown of Chapter 53. This one titled Sangenbo's Galactic Bandit Brigade. This one's written by Akira Toriyama with art by Toyotaro. And we're just going to go ahead and jump into it this time. I don't think we need a recap like we did last time, because there hasn't been that much of a gap between the review. So this one starts with a big old page of Krillin. He's been talked about before, but this is the first time we get to see him in this arc. And last time we learned that Jacko is looking for some more fighters for the Galactic Patrol. So it looks like Bulma managed to get Krillin along with Piccolo to help out. So the first page here we have Bulma asking about Tien Shinhan and Gohan, but it seems like they weren't able to find those guys. And once we get past page 1, we're going to find out why they weren't able to find those guys. Krillin explains that Gohan is at one of his lectures, and Tien Shinhan doesn't own a cell phone. So that's the excuse that they have for not getting Tien Shinhan. And Bulma basically complains. She's like, geez, who doesn't have a cell phone in this day and age? Of course, Tien, Piccolo, and quite a few of these guys don't own cell phones. So, and then we have a Yamcha gag here, of course, because we can't go. Anytime we have these like team up chapters, we can't go without mentioning Yamcha. So Krillin asks about Yamcha, and then they just kind of ignore it because Jacko shows up, and Bulma's like, Jacko's here. So they mention Yamcha, but they don't really address the fact that they haven't recruited him. They just, I think it's a running gag at this point to mention Yamcha, but not invite him to these fights. And Jacko shows up in his ship, and he's pissed because he told Bulma to gather all the toughest fighters, and she's only managed to gather 2 of them, Krillin and Piccolo. Really 1, because they already had Piccolo on their side. So we got Krillin here. Bulma goes in on Krillin. She's like, Krillin's the only one who could come because he has absolutely nothing else going on. And then Krillin's like, I'm not that free. So he's kind of pissed. And then we have a little surprise on the ship with Jacko, little Eska. So I didn't know these two knew each other. I mean, it makes sense that they do. But Eska seems far younger than Dende, so I thought he was maybe born after Dende left for Earth. But he might be the little Namekian that got killed in the Frieza saga. But if he is, like, it's weird that he hasn't grown up, whereas Dende's like a teenager at this point. Anyway, they have a little reunion. Jacko's kind of mad because the Eska pretty much tagged along and annoyed him, I guess. And Piccolo asks, was he the only one who made it from Namek? And Jacko confirms that only 3 Namekians left in the universe are Piccolo, Dende, and Eska. And Piccolo has a little moment to consider that. Eska's saying that he's ready to restore Namek. He's ready to fight for peace. So he's asking if he can help in any way, shape, or form that he can. But we also have the 3 bandits from last time here. One of them name is Pasta, the guy with the long nose. And they're talking shit. Jacko's pretty much, him and Pasta have a moment where they just talk shit to each other. Jacko has a good line about Pasta basically being... Jacko basically says that he's never met anyone who belonged in that cage more than Pasta. And then Pasta's just kind of shrugging it off, and he's talking back. And they acknowledged that they were able to contact Moro's forces before they were captured by Piccolo. And Jacko's kind of upset by that. He asked Piccolo, like basically, why did he let them contact them? And Piccolo just, he's just like, I don't know. I messed up. I fucked up. And so basically, you'll see a lot of that in this chapter. This chapter is mostly going to be about Piccolo fucking up a lot. And so the other bandits are on their way to Earth. And it's going to take them about 10 days to get there. We're going to learn that in a bit. But right now on the ship, we have the 3 bandits. We have Shimo Rekka, which is the guy who looks like Beelzebub from Sandland. We have Yunba, the big guy who looks kind of like what's that guy's name? Botamo. And then we have another guy, the guy who looks kind of like Hit. His name is what is his name? His name is I think like 7-3 or something like that. And they're all on this little bitty ship. The ship kind of reminds me of the ship they had in the Android Saga when they were looking for Cell. And the composition's even the same as that. It's kind of funny. But we got Mr. Yunba there. He's looking for food because he's been trapped on the little prison ship for like ever. So he's just got these, like, I guess they're disgusting candy bar things or protein bars or whatever, and he's looking for real food. So he's hoping for real food when they get to Earth. But Shimoreka is kind of chewing them out because they're supposed to be, they're supposed to be doing other stuff. And the planet, strangely enough, because we learned earlier in Dragon Ball Super that there are only 28 planets in the solar system in this universe, 73 basically says that Earth is described as planet 4032, green 877, which is strange because why does it have such a high number if there are only 28 planets in the universe? So I don't know if this is a bit of a retcon or if, I don't know, they have some weird designations for these planets. But he describes Earth as the third planet from its star in the outskirts of the northern sector of space. Shimoreka isn't surprised that 73 would have that knowledge, so I guess 73 is like a, pretty knowledgeable guy. And he says that data indicates this planet is still in its developmental stage and is of little value. And they're just talking about the planet more and more. 73 confirms that the data that he has is before they were arrested. A lot of these guys have been arrested for like decades, basically. I think some of them even probably hundreds of years. Shimoreka says that it sounds like a boring rock. Yunba is complaining that he's hungry, and they decide to go on a pit stop. And then we have Jacko on Earth. He's talking to Piccolo and Bulma and Krillin, and he's trying to figure out the trajectory of the ship of Shimoreka, 73, and Yunba. And he confirms that they're all Sangenbo's men and that they are galactic threats, which reminds me of BoJack. So we're continuing the trend of having new villains in Super be kind of representative of Dragon Ball movie villains. So these guys are kind of like the analogs to BoJack's men. And Jacko confirms that he wasn't the one to catch these guys, but Maris was. So these guys are likely much stronger than Jacko if it took Maris to do it. And we all know Maris is like, he's up there with like Goku and Vegeta in terms of strength, maybe even stronger than them. Likely stronger than them, actually. So Krillin asked Jacko if Gohan and Piccolo would be enough to take these guys on, but Jacko is like, Jacko is trying to leave. He's trying to escape, it looks like. So he's not very confident in Gohan and Piccolo's abilities. So Bulma tries to get Jacko to stay and fight, but Jacko tries to leave. And the other guys convince Jacko to stay because they want just a little bit more knowledge on what these guys are about at the very least. Even if Jacko can't really do anything to help, they at least want to know what they're up against. And then we cut over to, before we cut over, Jacko mentions that OG-73 it has a special move, and he calls it a nasty special move. So after that, we cut to OG-73, or 73 as his allies call him, and he's with the other guys. The other guys are just like, they're just on their ass, sitting around, eating, and he's taking on a whole planet of what looks like Sonic the Hedgehogs. Like it's a bunch of, they look just like a hedgehog. So which I'm okay with because like Sonic's been copying Dragon Ball Z for how long? So they might as well copy him back. So basically, it's like a planet of hedgehogs on like a like desert. Their planet kind of looks like a desert. And if you guys know those, I forget what they're called, but Native Americans used to build these houses made out of clay. Their dwellings or houses look just like those. And basically, 73 is like single-handedly like stomping these guys down. He got one beneath his heel, and the other ones are trying to attack him. They have these long, like this long spiky hair, and it looks like they can shoot spines from their. It's kind of like Super Saiyan 3 hair, but it's like spiky, and it looks like they can shoot their actual the spines. But the 73 is able to like get the jump on him. He pins one of them, grabs his neck, and uses him as a shield from the hair spikes from the other guys. And it looks like he's able to copy their ability or their memory or something. But we'll find out on the next page what he's doing. So he tosses the one who he used as a pincushion to the side, and then all of a sudden he grows a bunch of hair from the top of his head down his back. And it's, the same type of hair as the, I guess I would just call him the porcupine race. And he grows that, and he shoots the remaining porcupines with the spikes. So as he's doing that, we cut back to Krillin, who's talking to Jacko, and they talk about the 73's copy ability. And Jacko goes into an explanation about that. He explains that 73 can steal other people's powers by grabbing their necks. And he says that the power is stolen for at least 30 minutes, or it only lasts for 30 minutes. So I don't know why he specifically has to grab their necks. I don't know what's special about their necks, but that's how his power works. It's kind of dumb, but whatever. Krillin's like a whole half hour, and then Piccolo just wants to confirm that this guy doesn't hijack bodies or brainwash. So he's thinking about Captain Ginyu, and who does brainwashing? Majin Buu, or is that? I guess that's Baby. But Baby doesn't exist in this universe. So we got Jacko. He goes more into detail about it. He explains that 73's already very strong, but the abilities he gets just gives him an extra level of just an extra little boost to his power. Bulma tries to get more information about him. She asks what sort of being is 73. And then Jacko tells us quite a bit about him, more than I thought. I thought this character was like a part of Hit's race, but he isn't at all. So what Jacko says is that 73 is an artificial being cooked up by a planet with advanced tech and science. He's got nothing resembling normal emotions or feelings. He's just a killing machine who obeys his allies' orders. So essentially, 73 is just an android. Like, he may even be a legit android. There might be no biological components to him whatsoever. So we'll probably find out more about him. But just know that he killed all those porcupines and didn't sweat it. He took no effort to do so, and he, kept a cool head and everything. So we cut back to 73 and the other bandits, and it looks like the porcupines have a last ace in the hole. They're able to open portals and escape to other planets. So this kind of came out of nowhere, and it's not really explained, but they just have this, I don't know if it's an ability or if it's like a device, but they could just do this stuff. And so 73 catches them as they're in the middle of basically vanishing to a different planet. It was like 4 of them in total. One guy was holding the portal open. The 3 little guys managed to escape, but it looks like the bigger guy, he got caught by 73. So we cut back to Lookout, and Krillin asks Jacko how long does he have before the bandits get here. And Jacko explains that they'll be here in 10 days. So Krillin's like, man, I better start training. He asks Piccolo, and Piccolo confirms something we all knew all these years, that he never stops training, even in the best of times. So He never stops training, even when it's peaceful. So we all knew that, but sometimes it feels like Akira Toriyama forgets that and just makes Piccolo job for no fucking reason. But anyway, we get a little shock here. All of a sudden, the bandits show up. We got 73, we got Shimoreka, and we got Yumba. They just show up on the lookout. And above them is that same teleportation portal that we just seen the porcupines use. And inside of not Shimoreka, but 73 has this jewel in his head. And in the jewel, if you see like somebody inside of it, that means he's copied their ability. And right now in this panel, we have him copying the ability of the last porcupine that he fought. So I think there's Krillin asking this. He asks, who are they? In reference to the three bandits. And Jacko just says 7-3. And everybody's shocked. We got Bulma, we got Piccolo, Krillin, Dende. They're all shocked. And it looks like they just randomly got to Earth. It was like a lucky break. So lucky as the planet we stepped on was home to these critters who could create warp portals. And they even explained it would have taken them 10 days to get there, but they were apparently very lucky. And then they recognized the Macarini gang who were locked in a cage. And then Shimoreka goes over to basically just gloat. Jacko tries to stop him, but he doesn't do much to do it. He's just talking. Looks like Shimoreka he barely recognizes Jacko. Well, he recognizes Jacko, but he doesn't remember his name. He knows that he's in the Galactic Patrol. And he's impressed that Jacko could put the Macarini gang in a cage. So apparently these guys are like too much for Jacko. Jacko takes credit for Piccolo's work. And the Macarini gang tries to convince Shimoreka to let him out. Shimoreka walks up to Pasta, and he's like, I got a message to you from Lord Moral. And he goes to kill all three of them, I guess with the blast. But before he could do so, Piccolo sneaks up on him, grabs his hand. He's like, you're not going to be killing anybody on the sanctuary. So he says no evildoers are allowed on Earth. And that's when the other guys step up. Because Mr. Shimoreka's like, nah, I'm not about to mess with this guy. So we have 73 step up. And he gets the drop on Piccolo. He just like, I don't know if he teleported or if he just was so fast that Piccolo couldn't really react to him. He might have been behind him too, which probably would have been a dumb move for Piccolo to take his eyes off him. But anyway, he gets the drop on Piccolo, grabs him by the neck, and manages to even squeeze his neck and take, or I should say, copy his ability. Before he can do any damage, though, Piccolo slaps him away and dashes, creates some distance between them. And 7-3 just automatically starts doing the special beam cannon. So his abilities must not be reliant on basically him having to train and do this stuff. He must just have like memories of how to use the techniques. So we can see just him just automatically using this attack like that. And I just want you to keep in mind, guys, because a lot of you are probably like, why is this guy so strong? I just want you guys to keep in mind that all of these guys that are working under Moral their strength was increased by Moral prior to them doing, right after they were free from prison, they were increased in strength. So after that, he does special beam cannon, takes out a nice chunk of the lookout, and takes Piccolo by surprise and creates this pretty big hole in front of him. And and Jacko chews Piccolo out again for letting him. I think this is a running gag throughout the chapter. Jacko just chewing Piccolo out for doing dumb shit. So he's like, you let him copy your abilities? And, Piccolo's just like, what? But the guy uses stretchy arms and punches Jacko right in the face, knocks him right off the lookout. And by the guy, I meant 73. 73 punches Jacko right off the lookout. And Piccolo makes another boneheaded move. It's a heroic move, but at the same time, it's kind of boneheaded. He takes off after Jacko, I suppose to save him, which makes sense. But at the same time, you left all your friends up there on the lookout, most of them powerless, with these bandits in order to save Jacko, who at the very bare minimum, is strong enough to fight Frieza soldiers. So he's probably strong enough to survive a fall from the lookout. So that was, this whole chapter is basically predicated on Piccolo doing dumb shit. I think it's cool to see Piccolo doing stuff again, but if they're just gonna make him do dumb shit, every panel, I'm kind of okay with him not doing anything. But anyway, after Piccolo goes after Jacko, Krillin's left on the lookout to fend for himself against the other two. Against all three of them, because they haven't left the lookout yet. And one of them grabs Krillin. It's the big bear guy, Yunko, or Yunba, I'm sorry. And he says, "You're gonna fight me." And he's laughing. Piccolo's panicking. And as Piccolo goes to save Jacko, Jacko uses his rocket boots, which Piccolo probably should have noticed he had from the last fight they were in. But, I can understand him not knowing that. And he just says, "You could fly all along." And Jacko confirms that he can, but for only short bursts. They both land on the ground. And Jacko continues to chew Piccolo out. Piccolo apologizes, saying that he was sloppy. And he asks for Jacko's advice on how to fight the copy man. Jacko explains that the attack that he fired off is basically no different than if Piccolo had done it. So he goes into further detail. The same goes for Piccolo's punches and kicks. As long as they are Piccolo's moves and the guy copied them, they're going to be just as strong as Piccolo's moves. So Piccolo says, "I should think of this as fighting an exact copy of myself." And so the guy comes down from the lookout, and he attacks both Piccolo and Jacko with his stretchy arms. Piccolo responds in kind with stretchy arms of his own. Jacko responds in kind with Space Gat. And Piccolo and the 73 lock arms. They're doing like a grapple fight from a distance. And then they reel each other in and do a really strong headbutt against each other. Piccolo looks to take the most damage because 73 is like not responding to anything. Jacko's still, I guess, aiming his gun as the other two are fighting. And then out of nowhere, Shimoreka shows up and steals Jacko's gun. Jacko has a kind of funny line about his sidearm. He says it's just as important as a galactic agent's life. And they have a little, I'm going to call this one the bitch fight, because Jacko's like, "Give it back." And Shimoreka's like, "No." And they're just, he's just dodging them. So back to Piccolo and 73. They're both throwing, I forget the name of the attack, but it's like the big blast Piccolo does with one hand. They're throwing those around. Big explosions everywhere. 73 does the mouth blast that Piccolo normally does. And they're doing so much damage that Jacko turns around and tries to give Piccolo another tip that he forgot to tell him. He tells Piccolo that the guy has infinite stamina. So I'm kind of fuzzy on what this could mean. I'm sure it means that he works the exact same as the other androids, meaning he doesn't tire out. He can use key attacks however he sees fit, and he can just do them forever. It could also just mean that he just never tires. So I'm not quite sure what they exactly mean here, but I'm pretty sure they're talking about in the same sense of Android 17 and 18, which kind of sucks because it makes those guys less special. And it makes Dr. Gero and his technology a little less special. But I guess if Dr. Gero could figure it out, I guess somebody in space could also figure it out. But it's just like, I don't know. It's just another thing to make this fight, super duper hard for Piccolo. And then Piccolo's upset by that. He's like, "Man, you could have mentioned that earlier," and which is very true. We cut back to the lookout. Krillin fighting Yunba. Krillin's having a hard time. Yunba's, but he's kind of like blocking and dodging his attacks. Bulma's yelling at Mr. Satan to go over there and fight Krillin. And to his credit, Mr. Satan actually tries to jump into the fray. But the fight is a little too much for him. Krillin misses his big punch on Yumba. Yumba's bouncing around, kind of just like Botama was. But he's like rolls up into a ball and comes at Krillin, kind of like Majin Buu. And then he, just like Majin Buu, he breaks through the lookout, attacking Krillin with like this. Looks like he hits Krillin right in the face with like a spinning headbutt sort of thing. And Hercule was like, he's yelling at the hole, like, Cue Ball, you down there? Bulma decides to get in her ship, along with Dende and Mr. Satan, and follow along with the fight. Back down on Earth, Piccolo and 73 are both shooting off special beam cannons. Creates a big explosion. Piccolo looks like he's struggling, but 73 is as cool as a cucumber. Piccolo's mad because he's getting beat by his own techniques. Jacko tries to keep his spirits up. He says he'll be back to normal after 30 minutes. Tells Piccolo just try to hold out. But unfortunately, of course, Piccolo's going to be jobbed out in this fight. I know you guys can sense it. Unfortunately, Piccolo just admits that he can't even last that long. He shoots a really big beam cannon back at 73. But 73 is overwhelming him because his stamina just does not drain, whereas Piccolo's is. Same problem Piccolo had when he was fighting Android 17 back in the day, but this time he just stands a no chance. So he gets nearly wiped out, but of course, when the smoke clears, nobody knows where he's at. Jacko thinks he's dead. When smoke clears, Gohan shows up, asks Piccolo if he's okay. Jacko's happy to see Gohan again, and Piccolo's thanking Gohan for the save. So, yeah, Gohan, he's probably at his conference, but I guess he could actually sense that the fight was going on, so he's able to show up. He's late, but everybody's glad to see him here, and Piccolo's explaining to him that he's gonna give him a long version of the story later, but he basically just tells Gohan to not let the guy touch his neck. So, which is the very first mistake Piccolo made in this fight of about 50 mistakes. Piccolo tells Gohan he's the strongest fighter on Earth at the moment. So Gohan deduces that Goku and Vegeta are not currently on Earth. So yeah, I'm just gonna, before I move on to the next part, I'm just gonna say that kind of sucked. This whole section here kind of sucks because it's just predicated on just Piccolo being super lame. They kind of set it up for him to have a pretty good fight, but the fight's kind of disappointing because he didn't push 73 to do anything. He didn't really push 73 at all. He just got his ass whooped the entire fight. So I was expecting something a bit more, but it's Dragon Ball. They're gonna continue to job out anybody that's not a Saiyan. So that's that. So we're gonna go ahead and cut back over to the important Saiyans. I just hope next chapter that Gohan gets to do something cool at the very least. Maybe Tien too. But in this chapter, towards the end here, we're nearing the very end of the chapter. Only a couple pages left. Goku and Maris are still training in the hyperbolic time chamber, the one on whatever planet Maris took him to. Gohan's getting his ass kicked, Goku's getting his ass kicked. Punched in the face. He's skidding along the ground. Maris barely breaking a sweat. Goku is in base form. But at this point he's doubting himself. He doesn't think he could actually manage to use Ultra Instinct, anymore, pretty much. Maris explains that, he deduces that it only happened when Goku was in crisis. He asked him as much. And Goku confirms that. And Maris, he's like, fuck it. The quickest way to get that back is just to replicate those conditions, which means basically I'm going to have to try to kill you. Which Goku pretty much asks him. He's like, you mean I got to prepare to die during this training? Mayor's just like, yes, exactly. And Goku's like, all right, fine. You better come at me to kill me. And that's how their little part ends. Then we cut over to Planet Yardrat for a cool and kind of funny looking scene. We got Vegeta training on Yardrat. He's meditating on a tiny little stick in the middle of who knows where. And it looks like he's doing pretty good at it. We get a panel of him talking. And I guess he's been doing this for a long time, at least several days. And he asked the I forget, I think his name was Pumbara, the Yardrat, the giant Yardrat, or the Yardrat guru. He asked Pumbara how many more days left does he have of this training. Pumbara just says, your spirit is even less stabilized than Goku's was. First, you must achieve balance in mind and body. And then he says, or one of the other Yardrats says, by the way, Goku was up here for 150 days. And then Vegeta gets really pissed, and Pumbara's like, your balance is all disrupted again. And Vegeta tries to find his balance, but man, he's pissed. And the chapter ends with Vegeta like, damn it, I'm starting to regret even coming to this rock. And we have to wait till November 20th for the next chapter. So my thoughts overall for this one, I kind of liked it. Outside of just Piccolo being an idiot, every foothold that the bad guys made was pretty much just made because Piccolo was doing dumb stuff and making dumb decisions. Outside of that, I actually quite enjoyed it because I do enjoy when characters other than Goku and Vegeta get to do stuff. Krillin got to do. I mean, Krillin and Piccolo pretty much just got to get their ass kicked, but fine. At least they got to do something. And the villains, they got to do cool stuff. I kind of like 73. I kind of don't like some of the stuff he got. I don't like the fact that he has infinite stamina. I think that kind of cheapens Dr. Gero, like the accomplishments he made. I think if they maybe included something about those aliens stealing schematics from Dr. Gero or taking influence from him or something like that, that would be cool. Or maybe them being behind that technology in the first place and Dr. Gero somehow getting his hands on it, that would also be cool. But just him randomly having infinite stamina, kind of, I'm over that. The copy thing is cool. My good friend Alex is a huge fan of Adam Blade, who also has a jewel in his head and can copy people's abilities. So I was instantly reminded of Adam Blade when I saw that he had the copy ability and the jewel in his head. I just wish Piccolo got to do more. At the very least, I wish he didn't have to be saved by Gohan. And the only thing is, like, he didn't even get to really. I don't think he even got to fight with his cape off. Or he did, but ever so briefly. Like, towards the end, he took his cape off. But yeah, I hope Gohan gets to do more next time. I hope Tien shows up. I hope Krillin gets to do a little bit more. I'm sure this isn't the end for Piccolo either. I'm sure he'll get to do something cool. I do like how 73 gets the full power of whoever he copies. I think that's kind of cool. But overall, yeah, I think it's a pretty decent chapter. Not a huge fan, but I think it had some pretty interesting developments. So appreciate you guys for watching this very rambly review. Make sure to check out the links I provide below in the description. It will have a link to the Viz chapters. Remember that these chapters are free, the last 3 chapters. So that'll be 53, 52, and 51 are free. So you can check these out at viz.com/shonenjump. But of course, I will provide that link for you guys to check out. And it's best for you guys to follow along with me. But I'll also have just some photos so you guys can get a reference from what I'm talking about. So anyways, take care, guys. Till next time. Peace.